It is a warm spring day. Beams of sunlight illuminating a small cottage. Bread is baking in an oven, herbed and almost pungent compared to fresh counterparts in myriad pots on every spare inch of floor, shelf, and windowsill. A golden-haired woman hums and works, Desiram's too short perspective in this memory obscuring the countertop. A bundle of herbs is tied to a rafter, joining dozens of its like in various stages of drying. The memory shifts and shimmers into a similar scene, though winter. This time it is Desiram who's working and humming at the countertop, surrounded by a small collection of bottles. She's preparing tinctures and balms that will be sorely needed for the winter ahead. The golden-haired woman, now a bit more gray, sits by the hearth regarding her daughter with proud eyes, only looking away when there's a knock at the door. Where the previous memory had shifted softly, this next jump is violent, harsh. It is the same cottage on the same day, but dark, ransacked, bottles and pots scattered into a million pieces on the floor, mixing with blood. The door is broken on its hinges, letting in drifts of snow. No one remains here and no one will ever return. Another harsh jump to an ostentatious and ivory hall, impossibly pristine even now as she sullies it with her blood, a crumpled heap on the floor in front of the first full-blooded fae she has ever laid eyes on, Bright Teeth Assyrio. He stares down at her with rows of needle-sharp canines as 5 other sets of eyes regard her from the shadows. Another jump, her father's sins are laid bare. A jump, negotiations are made. A jump, she agrees to the conditions. What other choice does she have? She takes up her father's work, becoming intimately familiar with the stench of death and decay, but it's never enough. She barters, she begs, she trades, scrounging up whatever she can, but it is always somehow short. The first time she fails to make a payment, he sharpens her teeth. Not enough for most to notice, but enough to mark her as one of his hunters. Folks begin to talk. The second time she fails, he takes her round ears and draws them into points, revealing her disgraced heritage to the world. Folks begin to shun. The third time, he takes the color of her eyes, a gift from her mother, and turns them green as avarice itself to reflect her father's transgressions. Folks begin to fear. After that, he takes in blood, for she has nothing left to give. She fails, he takes, she screams. She fails, he takes, she cries. She fails, he takes, she laughs. If she doesn't, she will break, and that is not an option so long as her mother draws breath, as tenuous as that hold on life is. With a final jump in memory, beads of blood drip onto that ivory floor. The world is getting fuzzy and black at the edges as she lies there all but bloodless, senseless, and begs. One more chance to make things right, one more chance to buy their freedom. He stares down at her, wiping her blood from his lips, and nods with a vicious smile. They find themselves in the garden on the precipice of that very opportunity, the source of their salvation in sight. A wide grin breaks out on her face as she dances and twirls, beckoning her associates through the portal that they may revel in this same joy.
Hello and welcome to Hawthorne Manor on Nerdsmith Presents Limited Series. We are playing Trophy Dark, and you just got a wonderful introduction by one of our players. Before I throw it to our players, we have some housekeeping to do. I'm Cassiopeia. Cassie or Cass is fine. My pronouns are she, they. I am the GM. I play the Manor. Our sponsors tonight are Die Hard Dice, home to the friendliest shopkeepers in the realm, carrying quality dice and accessories. Use code NERDSMITH for 10% off your next order, and be sure to let them know that we sent you. Hero Forge. Hero Forge is an online character design application that lets users create and buy customized tabletop miniatures and statuettes, releasing exciting new features every Tuesday for their pro subscribers. Use the link in chat to get your pro subscription and help support the network today. World Anvil. World Anvil is a set of world building tools that helps you create, organize, and store your world setting. If you'd like to check out all that you can do with a Sage membership, check out the link in chat. And of course, we couldn't go without thanking our artist Harry, Katrina Raposan on Twitter, who made the wonderful art for this stream. Be sure to follow them. And with that, to my players.
Hi, good evening. I'm Eva Serate. My pronouns are she, her, and tonight I have the extreme honor of playing Laura, no last name, who is your innocent, disinherited noble type person, who doesn't want to ask anybody about teeth ever again.
Hello, I am John and/or Ryamasa. Use any pronouns. Today I'm playing Bertolt. It has a last name. No one's asked it. Won't tell you. Pronouns he, him. And, well, there are many things Bertolt is. Blacksmith, artisan, weapon maker. But for the moment, in this particular group, let's say that he's the one who doesn't find the teeth questions disturbing. And should that disturb you, maybe you're on the right track.
Is it me next? Yes, probably. Hello, my name is Tori. You can find me all over the internet as that nerd Tori. I use they, them pronouns. And in this game, I am playing Horatio Essex, a terrible little man who used to hunt whales, and now hunts after something a little more esoteric, I suppose. The pass, maybe? Who knows? We'll figure it out.
And I'm Sweet Rosie B, she, her pronouns. Today I will be playing the Fey Menace Desirim Aram. Very curious to see if she is able to make any friends on this journey, but she's not here to make friends, she's here to make money.
All right, so many things happened last episode. You arrived at the edge of a forest with very little information to go on. You made your way in the dark of night. You encountered strange things like a dragon deer. We don't know what it was, but it sure had scales and smoke for a head. That was wild. I cracked myself up there. The forest did not want you to make your way through and fought you in various ways. Let's see, what else happened? Oh yes, a terrible man fell down a hill and got very muddy. That was sure exciting for him, I bet. What else happened? I'm losing my train of thought.
Stolen
That's good.
from. There was a theft that occurred. Someone stole.
There was a
very
theft
precious.
that occurred.
It was absolutely a theft.
I am
Someone
innocent.
Got it back.
I legitimately forgotten about that because it actually didn't happen.
Horatio never forgets.
Oh yes, and we found a tree with some treasure inside it and teeth, which we've been told to, ask or don't ask about ever again, and depending on how you feel about it.
Please ask about the teeth.
It's not so much the teeth as the reaction or lack of reactions to the teeth. It's everything else around the teeth that's weird.
Fair. There was lots more traveling. I mean, that was most of the episode was trudging through the forest, in the mud, in the rain, most of it dark.
Oh, there was fog that was creepy.
Oh yes, there was the breathing fog. That was good. I'm sure everyone loved that. But
I mean,
you did
I love that.
Fair. That's good.
There was
I mean, I
people sleep.
There was watching people sleep.
Heard of beetles.
Oh yes, the herd of horse-sized beetles.
Man, a lot happened last time. Good thing nothing bad will happen this time.
Yeah, we front-loaded it.
Yeah, everything will be fine from here on out.
Yeah. It's the journey, not the destination. And we're at our destination now.
Sure.
And we, of course, can't leave out that everyone stepped through what probably is, a magic portal and may or may not be able to return. Who knows?
Some of us had more visions than others going through said portal. Fine.
We all had an equal amount of visions.
Did we?
Once again, it's the reactions
broke.
that
Whoops.
are key here. Yeah.
So, with that, you are all standing in the desiccated remains of what clearly used to be a very well-maintained garden. It stretches relatively far. You honestly weren't sure at first how far, but it is far. The path does lead straight ahead to the manor in the distance, but you realize, looking around, that there are rows upon rows upon rows of different desiccated and decayed flora.
Fearful.
Beautiful.
Not completely unexpected, I suppose. There was a period on the end of that sentence after flora, right? There's not like
Yes.
a long pause and then, okay.
Horrible fauna.
An ellipses.
Yeah.
I mean, as your wonderful GM, is there ever really a period? It's just leave space here for reactions.
Yeah. Well, is anyone expecting to find anything of note or value in the gardens, or shall we carry on?
Well, I think we're all after whatever's in the house, so it would be more pragmatic to move forward.
Lead the way then, Whaler.
Oh, not this again. And just points
I'll
at
go.
Berthold.
Laura's just going to go. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think Bertolt would have been like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then, but when you start moving, we'll just sort of slip in behind you.
All right.
What's the lighting situation? I can't remember if we ended up in a daytime type setting or if it's some sort of a...
It was daytime before you stepped through the portal, for sure. Whether or not it's daytime here, I don't remember if we established.
What is the visibility like then? I guess I should ask.
The visibility is... And you realize now, thinking about it, the visibility has been, since you got here, a perpetual dusk. Like, not quite the purple of full twilight, but like that edge of where the, if you were to be able to see the horizon, that edge, that thin purple line of dusk or twilight is coming.
All right. And we can see the manor?
Yes, you can see the manor off in the distance. You also, because the garden is withered and dead, you can see off to one side a relatively intact greenhouse, though you can't see anything in the interior. There's a couple of smaller outbuildings out around the property, there might be more behind the manor that you can't see. There's no way to say at the moment. I think I said there was a gazebo, because there has to be a gazebo.
It's required.
Yep.
The implied gazebo.
Yep.
Great band name.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to, as long as everyone is following me, I'm not going to just head off on my own. But assuming eventually there are footsteps behind me, head towards the house.
Yeah, Horatio's following along in a determined march
Thanks,
towards
bestie.
his goal. He's no one's bestie.
There are footsteps next to you as Desiree walks in stride.
Perfect. Love that. As long as someone is attached to the footsteps, that's great.
So you do have not a short walk ahead of you. Obviously, you can see your destination. It's not hours away, but you have a few minutes of walking. And I'm curious, Horatio, what did you desire before you became a treasure hunter?
Well, Horatio is only a treasure hunter insofar as treasure will allow him to achieve his overall goals.
Yes, but I mean treasure hunter just as that's what the group is, treasure hunters. So what did Horatio desire before this?
Freedom, the space to think and feel the way he wanted to, adventure, camaraderie, all sorts of noble ideals that one would aspire to in a youth that wasn't particularly prosperous nor particularly impoverished, just one that always left him wanting a little bit more.
Can I get all of you to roll a single d6? It doesn't matter what color. This isn't a ruin roll or anything. I just want to know something.
What?
Don't like that.
All right. Desirem, walking next to Laura, you are about to step out of the garden, and off to your side, in the flower bed, you spot a small glinting object.
Oh. And she'll just kind of like float off, like veer off, keeping the same pace but heading straight to it.
It's not hard to get there. It is more or less right next to you on the path. You reach in, the dry plants scratching at your flesh, and you withdraw a small, ornate key. Bertold, what does this key look like?
Small key, roughly about yay big are you thinking? Because like, I've got like a couple ideas.
So I'm thinking, like old-timey key.
Okay, like old-timey door key?
Old-timey door key where it's clearly got like the quote-unquote round end and the quote-unquote jagged end to go in.
Yeah, it's got the bit that looks like a... Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love Trophy Dark because I'm also a GM, so I'm going to ask you a weird question. Tragedy or comedy?
Oh, that's so... so hard because it is Trophy Dark. So my instinct is to just, of course, go tragedy. But I think we'll go comedy just to, pick the opposite.
When in doubt, friends, and the GM asks you to describe something and you can't decide, make them pick. So, okay, let's go comedy. It is a small brass key. It is the key itself, like the sort of the teeth, are fairly normal. Just sort of solid brass, 3 prongs, nothing particularly to write home about. It is the turn bit of the turn key that is a little different, a little special, because where you would expect a small sort of brass circle with a little bit of leverage to be able to turn the key in a door, that circle is instead fully filled in, and it is not plain or unadorned. It is instead molded in the shape of a laughing baby. Good luck.
I have found the most fascinating item. Would anyone else like a look?
Oh no, this has backfired horribly.
She'll hold it out.
God. What is it now?
Look. She'll hold it real close to your face.
A nursery key, maybe? Is that a thing
Perhaps.
people do when they have babies?
That seems unsafe, doesn't it?
It's a key. How could it be unsafe?
I meant more locking a baby in a room, but maybe that is safer. I don't know. I don't remember being a baby.
Does anyone?
I wouldn't
Can't
presume
say
to
I
know.
do, no.
No. I don't know. Maybe these people really like sculptural art and decided that even their keys should be embellished.
They can afford embellished keys. They can afford a lot more, no?
That's
yes,
true.
that's why it's a manor.
Where did you find that? Who keeps a key on the ground?
It was in the bush over there. Rather scratchy. And she'll pull her sleeves down. Does anyone want it?
That's a very kind offer.
I would hold on to it. Something tells me that we might use all kinds of keys in this house.
All right. Finders, keepers. She'll say that looking at Horatio.
I'm perfectly fine without the baby key. Thank you.
Sense of adventure.
With that, you make your way up to the manor. It is a sprawling thing. Easily, though not a palace, easily large enough that you would assume there's an east wing or a west wing or that kind of nomenclature around the building. But also, not that your trip has been easy, and you've seen some very strange things already. But all of you, especially though, Deserim, you sense something foreboding deep within this manor. It is a palpable feeling.
Ooh, does it feel like the forest or different?
It feels kind of like the forest in that the entire building has this feeling around it, but also there is a concentrated point somewhere in the manor.
Does anyone else feel that?
It seems the place has a heart and soul.
I assumed it was my own apprehensions.
Could be both.
Well, is it stopping us, or shall we find a door?
Nothing's stopping us now.
No, I think that's exactly where we'd like to head if we're looking for items of power. Or value.
Or both? All right. Gonna keep heading towards it then and look for a door.
All right. It's not hard to find a door. The garden path, though, it ended and left some ground before the manor proper, does more or less point at the front of the building. It is a large double door framed by dark wood. The door itself is intricately carved, though it's not in like a motif or what's the word I want? It doesn't have like a picture on it. It's not a statue type carving, but it is very intricately carved. And it is clearly, it had been inlaid with many different colors and metals in the design at some point.
Well, who wants to be the Well, who wants to be the first one to open the big, terrible, foreboding door? Shall we draw straws?
That seems most fair.
I was being mostly facetious because I don't have any straws.
Plenty of twigs around.
Are we really all that opposed to opening
Push
the
on
door?
the handle.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm gonna put one hand on the frame and just quietly say a couple words very quietly and try the door.
All right. So the first sensation is when you put your hand on the door frame, the frame, you can tell is weak and potentially rotted. And it doesn't come away in your grasp at all. But you do wonder how long this building has stood and how long it might still stand. And you reach for the doorknob, and your fingers barely graze it. You don't even get to grip it in your hand. And the door swings open slowly with a loud "Urgh," and it kicks up a low cloud of dust in its wake. And after it stops swinging, even though it seems like there's nothing else for it to do, after a moment there's a loud thud as if it hit something. But to your perception, it had already stopped moving.
That wasn't me.
No, I don't think anyone thought it was.
I opened the door. Someone else can go in.
I'd somewhat like to see what made such a loud thudding noise.
I would absolutely love for someone to investigate that. Yep.
Fine. Horatio's going to walk in and try and check maybe behind the door and see if the door hit something or what the giant thud noise was.
Everyone knows whalers are very brave, and I
So
appreciate
brave.
this. Okay, that sounded sarcastic even to me, so I want to clarify. That's not sarcastic.
Horatio would say something dramatic like,
I mean, Horatio would take it as sarcasm anyway, so.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
He'd
that's
say something
fair,
melodramatic like, oh, you'll see where that bravery can get you. And then he's going to walk into the house.
All right.
Bertolt is done with my character as John is.
Dude, Horatio's back, Laura's just gonna say, was that a threat or not? I don't know.
No, I am quite enjoying this. Bertolt is quite done.
Yeah.
Melodramatically walk off a cliff, please.
He already
Just
did that.
might. He might do it again. Just
Please do it
wait.
again. Yeah.
Clearly, I should have set this at the Manor of Mandalay from the movie Rebecca. Then you could all walk off a cliff.
John's
best
about
kind of
to.
manner.
John just saw my special interest kick in. Part of this character is inspired by a life-altering experience that I had at Sleep No More in New York City, which is an immersive theater production inspired by Macbeth, Alfred Hitchcock in general, and specifically Rebecca.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm obligated to continue the tangent for just a second. The reason I thought of this is because Rebecca is one of my mom's favorite Hitchcock movies, and it's one of the first horror movies that I saw as a very small child. And I actually just watched it again in March, I think. So
I was unfamiliar with it before going to see Sleep No More, and then I was like, maybe I should have watched this movie before going to this immersive play. But they basically
it's a good movie.
Reenact part of the plot is in the plot of Sleep No More, such as there is a plot.
Nice. All right. Horatio, you enter the manor, and I'm gonna save the grand description of where you enter to for in a moment because you're very focused on this, like, I'm looking behind the door because there was a thud.
Mm-hmm.
So the manor is dim, especially because outside is dusk. And you step in and you peer around the door, and there is nothing there that would have caused that thud. The wall on that other side of the door is a couple feet away still. There's no pillar in the way. There's no trunks or rocks or anything that it could have hit.
Huh. But the thump did sound like it was coming from the door, right?
Yes.
Well, doesn't look like the door hit anything. It seems relatively clear for us to continue walking inside.
Nothing we can see anyway.
Yes. I suspect it might have been something beyond traditional understanding.
All right. As the rest of you follow in behind Horatio, you see that at the far end of the hall in front of you is one of those grand staircases that curves up in the center and then has the two walkways that extends to the upper floor. In the middle there is a large framed painting, intricately carved wood. Most of the painting is in shreds, but you can just see the top of, I want to say, like, where's my hand? This much of a face, like everything above my hand. And there's a top hat on this person's head, and the eye you can make out is a deep gray. The upper floors are kind of lost because of the stairs and then the hallways above, but on either side of you, you can see that the room extends pretty deep with a couple of doors, 3 or 4 doors on each side, and then 2 doors on either side behind the stairs.
I wonder who took his smile.
Time and rot. Now, does anyone have a preference? Whether we go upstairs first? This floor?
Does anybody know where rich people keep their shit in a house like this?
Actually, I was going to say we should be very cautious as rot has beat us here by quite some time, I think. Character bleed on this one. Eva, no idea where rich people keep their shit. Laura might though, right? Arguably.
Sure.
Seems fair.
Maybe. I would suspect either someplace far away from the servants' quarters, or possibly, depending on what they're keeping, a vault. So probably either upstairs or downstairs. First floor seems right out unless you want the fancy silver.
Is that worth money? Then
It
yes.
hasn't been taken yet.
Sounds like we want to make a thorough search of the entire property.
Of course.
Depending on what everyone is looking for, yes.
Should we establish that now? What are we all looking for?
I'll know
Treasure.
it when I see it.
Treasure is such an ambiguous term. Is there anything specific?
We're all looking for treasure. Shouldn't that suffice?
I suppose. We'll know it when
I
we
hate to
see
say
it.
it, he's right.
Time.
Oh. That's an interesting answer.
Seems unlikely to be kept with the silver, but
That's much
Let's-
more metaphorical and poetic than I was expecting from you. Care to elaborate?
It's quite literal, I mean.
So we should keep our eye out for clocks?
Is a clock time? Or does it simply keep it? No, I'm looking for time.
Well,
it's on the clock, I would think.
well, if we see the Sandman around, we'll point you in that direction. Anyway, moving on.
My cousin.
Freaking weirdo in the corner, that's my cousin. I
Be
know him.
clear, while we're in this foyer, the gentleman with the top hat does not look like anyone in this particular room who is currently living, does he?
No, it is not any one of the companions with you.
It's not Desiree in a top hat. Just checking.
Well, as far as you know, no, but Desrim's eyes are green, and the one eye you can see in the painting is gray.
True, that's fair. There's not an extremely distinguishing forehead. Okay.
It is now!
Horatio has gray eyes, but he's not.
I
wearing a top
cannot
hat.
imagine Horatio in a top hat, honestly.
No, he probably has worn one in his life. He wants to be fancy so bad, or he used to want to be fancy.
This makes him look more like the guy from Moulin Rouge.
Yep.
But he does look like the Duke from Moulin Rouge. But like if the Duke was the poor poet who had no money but really wanted to be cool.
Oh my god.
All right, so what do we want? I don't think splitting up at this juncture is a wise idea with the state of the place. What do we want to look for first? Material wealth, common items such as silver, family heirlooms, which are more likely to be upstairs, ambiguous concepts such as time, or other items.
I think we should just keep our eye out for anything that seems not rotten and falling apart.
Maybe let's just do a walking tour of this floor then and see what's stable and what isn't and get an idea of the rest of the house and go from there.
A good plan.
She's going to give her necklace a little tug as she looks around the entryway. Left the east wing or the west wing?
Do we know?
Yeah, it just occurred to me that we probably don't know what direction north is, having gone through a portal without a sun. So, all right. Left wing first, perhaps?
Seems as good a spot as any to start.
Delightful.
Would you
Do
like
we
to continue
want-
leading?
Does anyone want to lead it? I will. Do we want to leave the door open or try and latch it somehow?
A faith that it will stay open if we leave it open. I don't think this house lets any doors or windows remain in a state that it doesn't approve of.
I suspect you're right.
I say we leave it as is. Let's see what happens.
I'm going to kind of gently kick my foot behind the door where something might be if it had run into it. And if I don't feel anything, I will head through the first door to the left, I guess. Oh, a roll.
You don't feel any invisible lurking thing behind the door.
Okay. That's good, that's fine. Mostly because I didn't see exactly how Horatio had, done his investigations, so...
He mostly just stuck his head behind the door, I think.
Perfect, well...
That's what I gathered.
Yeah, that was my guess, but also...
All right. So you just pick the door closest to your left?
Yep.
Excellent. You head over to this door, and it is, while not as fancy as the front door, it is a deep I'm just gonna end up using this a whole lot, so fuck it. It's a deep red mahogany door. Mahogany. It's a good word, mahogany. Anyway. I've been on the internet too long, okay?
Mood.
And in the center is almost what you would call no, what's that word go? It's the oval of a portrait, and in the center is carved a woman holding a small child.
Well, good guess if this is locked, we might know where the key is.
See more carvings and sculptural design. They must have a thing for it.
Costs a pretty penny. I don't know if it's worth anything for us to take away, but I'll try the handle just for kicks. Real quick, with my vague passing familiarity with rituals, does this carving have a aesthetic vibe or more of like a ritualistic vibe? It could be both, I will allow, but do not cheat through my headphones. Don't do it. Son of a...
Not allow that one.
I would say that it leans more to just an aesthetic look.
Okay.
But considering the vibe the house just has, it's, it's kind of hard to say if there's any ritualistic intent behind it.
Maybe let's just start with the key, and if it does anything, great. If not, we'll just open it the old-fashioned way. Desiree, will you do the honors?
Oh, yes, for sure.
I'm gonna take a step back. Don't want to crowd anyone, you know.
I will.
Desiree, you take the key adorned with the laughing baby, I believe is what it was.
Correct.
And you put it in the keyhole on the door, carved with a woman and a child. And you swing the door. The door unlocks. And you swing the door open. And the key disappears.
Oh. Hoping to sell that.
Well, perhaps we'll
that's-
find others.
What a delight. Delight after delight in this house.
Step into the room.
Yeah.
As you step into the room, if you could please describe what this room looks like, Desiree.
Okay. This room, along the sides of it, because it's a pass-through room, there's another door on the other end of it, but along the left and right walls, there are tall Palladian windows, fogged over, dirty, and cracked, that would have at one point let in an abundant amount of sunlight. Plush furnishings litter this area. This was not quite a playroom, but certainly a space meant for intimate moments between mother and child. It is decorated with what was probably at some point very colorful, probably pastel, floral wallpapers and similar motifs, but now all sort of peeling and rotten, almost akin and mirroring the garden outside in that similar state of disrepair. I would love to say there are a handful of rotted through wooden toys littered about the floor. That's it.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think seeing that the room is not immediately full of horrible monsters, Horatio would walk in and start rather brusquely rifling through anything he can find, just looking through stuff. So if there's drawers, he's just opening the drawers, shuffling through them, looking at every bookshelf, quickly, efficiently.
Nursery adjacent type rooms, of course, the best place to hide your earthly possessions.
But you never know.
Right.
If the thing is small, it won't get up to the high shelves.
That's true of a certain point. My brother used to have to pull me down from the library shelves more often than I would like to admit, but I think I'm going to start to cross the room and maybe tow some of the... I'm going to be using my feet a lot, I think. I don't want to touch anything with my hands. Tow the some of the rotted wooden toys on my way by, just to kind of gauge how well things are holding up. And also kind of test the floor on my way across, just especially if we're on any sort of like rotted carpet where we can't see what's underneath.
There's definitely a large carpet on the floor.
Gross. And if others are kind of taking some time in the room, I will take a peek out of one of the gross, filthy windows.
All right.
That's my master plan for the room.
I'll describe to you what you see through the window in a moment. First, Horatio, you're searching through these things. Honestly, it kind of sounds to me like you're tossing the room because you're just yanking shelves fully out of anything that they might be in, that kind of thing. And in a small drawer, you find a sentimental item from your childhood amongst the decay, something that you thought was long lost. What is it?
A little children-sized picture book of little nursery rhymes. And I think Horatio just sort of stops dead in his tracks with like a bewildered and horrified look on his face and blinks a few times, like this is a man who has been through times at sea where you see things that aren't actually there, where, you know, you've been so thirsty or so sunburned or so perhaps delirious with pain that you have thought you've seen your childhood cat or something like that walking across the deck of the ship. But a few blinks and touching the book itself confirms for him that it is real. And after a moment's pause, he shuts the drawer and leaves it where it is.
And you know for certain that it was yours because it had that same broken spine from where it had been dropped when you were young.
I think he would have dog-eared all his books in a very, very particular way as a child, carrying them around too much and turning in the corners to mark his favorites. So there was no doubt upon just briefly touching it and seeing it that it was his, but he very quickly shut the drawer.
Laura, you go to peer out the window, and at first all you can see is gray, and you realize that you need to take a moment and with either something you pick up in the room or part of your sleeve, you need to wipe at the window, and it takes some work to wipe the grime from the window. And even still, at best, you get this streaky, grainy look. This window is close enough to where the front of the house is that you imagine you should be able to see the garden from here. But you don't see the garden from here. You just see thick, heavy forest feet away from this window. And as you watch and wonder, you see a figure in the forest. It's not so deep that it's hard to tell what it is, but it is deep enough that it's not right up at the edge of the forest. And you watch this figure all in white with long hair move through the forest as if they're gliding. They're not walking, they're not touching the ground, they're not taking strides in a manner that you could say, you know, you just watched Horatio stomp around the garden and clamber into the house. Like, there's a very specific way people's bodies move and the cadence their footsteps make, and this figure just glides.
We are not alone, and there is something out there I do not like.
And I need you to make a ruin roll for witnessing this terror, please.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look at the window and goes, there's been terrible things out there this whole time.
Well.
Did you miss the Beatles earlier?
It's not a beetle. I rolled even with my ruin. I rolled even with my ruin, so I stay where I am, right? It's only if I roll higher?
Yes, it is only if you roll higher.
Okay. I still don't like it, but I like it in a normal disliking it sort of way. It's more human-ish, less beetle-ish. It doesn't move right.
But it's out there.
For now.
For now, so why worry? I'm sure there's plenty more to worry about in here.
I don't think you're wrong. All right. Would you all rather not hear of other things that are noticed then?
Oh no, please. All information is good.
Does that sound like a thing you might be familiar with?
Does it?
It was all in white, very glidey.
Sounds like a ghost.
It does.
You sing spirits. We sing spirits so early in the evening.
Doink, Scoob, let's get out of here!
I was in 2 different Scooby-Doo themed one-shots over Halloween. I don't need more.
So good though. Having some passing familiarity with spirits, it doesn't look familiar to me, but I'm sure there's all manner of varieties. Probably.
Let me take a peek. I would like to sort of scoot and look out the same little cleaned part of window.
You look out this window, and to you, it peers into some kind of observatory. On the other side of this window is a like a glass hexagon-ish shaped room with a large dome, and in the center is a large telescope. There are potted plants around. They are all withered and dead. And though the telescope is very, very elegant, it too has that layer of dust and grime that everything you've seen has.
Whatever it is seems to be gone now. Fascinating room over there, though.
If you can call it a room. I feel like we spend far too much time discussing semantics. but it might have disappeared between the trees, I suppose.
I mean, those potted plants could hardly be called trees, but semantics.
I poke my head back
Good
over
lord.
like Tezarim's shoulder. They weren't potted. It was a forest just a minute ago. Do I see the room or do I see the forest?
Or something completely fucking different.
Oh no!
Oh no!
You poke your head back into the cleaned section of window, confused
That's what we're
by
skeletons.
confused by what Desarim is describing, and you see that the window now faces out towards the garden and the front of the house.
Well, I am truly done with this room. Shall we carry on?
Does not seem to be anything of value.
No, I've looked through everything.
Berthold? Any
Doesn't
doors
seem to
you'd
be
like
anything of
rifle?
what. Doesn't seem to be anything what we're looking for. As a player, I'm going to make a bad decision. Berthold, out of idle curiosity, is going to look out the fucking window.
I love her. Yes. Do it.
Berthold, you look out the window, and you see your house on fire.
Look, Bertolt gazes out the window for a little too long to be particularly normal. And then... I don't think this window is showing us the same things.
What did you see?
The house.
Oh, that's boring.
To know what the window wants me to see, so let's continue. No, thank you, says Horatio. I'm good.
Self-preservation.
It's the only way you survive on a whale ship.
There's a pickling joke in there somewhere. Unless someone else is reaching for it, Laura is going to open the door at the other end.
All right. The door is carved in the same motif as the first door in this.
Try to open the door then.
The door swings open.
Is there also a mother and child over this door, or?
Yes, it is this. It's the same, a similar door. Because this is like, even though this is clearly a child's area, it was like it's almost like a hallway more than a full room. And so you push the door open. And Laura, if you could please describe this room.
I feel like we've moved into an equally decrepit, equally dusty and semi-rotted, what are they called where everyone goes to smoke and drink brandy? Like a sitting room, a gentleman's sitting room?
Children's hallway, or is it I'm confused.
You know, where the babies have the whiskey.
Cigars for babies.
That was the
that's in my
appropriate
brain now.
reaction. However, and I feel like the doorway opens like midway through the room. And there might even be the remains of a crystal-esque decanter and glasses on what was probably once a nice wooden end table. Some books so rotted it's impossible to say what language they were even in, let alone what genre they might have been. On some artfully placed shelves. I feel like there are a few art pieces in different states of decomposition. Maybe a small statuette or two. But sort of like someone's just left in the middle of something, you know, not cleaned up by the servants before it was left to rot. There's definitely signs of people having been around before whatever caused them to leave happened. I also think maybe green tones, but it's hard to tell if it's the original intended color of the room or if perhaps there's a little bit of moss that's kind of creeping in over things. Yeah, and Laura's not looking for windows, so if there are some there, she's not going to be the one describing them.
So you take in the view of this room, Laura, and as you glance back towards where the decanter and other things are stood, you realize there's a man standing there. A man dressed in not the height of finery, but the kind of outfit where if this were modern day, you know, like a 1920s era like suit for going out for the evening kind of level of, you know, obviously this person isn't wearing a 1920s suit, but that level of dress for an occasion. Yes, he's dapper. And he is wearing a masquerade mask that covers most of his face. And at the opening of the door, and he turns. Oh, so glad you could arrive. And he glides over to you, but not the way the ghost you saw glide in that way that like people trained to walk and make it look effortlessly. And before you can stop yourself, he's taken your hand in his. And he pulls it up to kiss it. And Laura, what secret do you reveal despite yourself in this moment?
Oh no. I think it would be that. It's out loud. How do I work my phrasing?
I think it is something you say out loud, yes. So
Okay.
if you need a moment to... Obviously, I know your big secret. This doesn't have to be that if you don't want it to be.
Yeah, no, I feel like we're going big secret adjacent. I am terribly charmed to meet you, I suppose. I didn't catch your name. I wonder at such a reception. You see, I am no longer of standing. That happens, you know, when you are caught practicing magics the family would rather not be associated with. I meant to tell you that wasn't right. Why would I say that? I mean, that's right. Who are you?
Oh, there's no names here, dear. And he kind of starts trying to lead you deeper into the room.
Does a Horatio Bertle, nope, that's... Hello, is anyone...
Yes.
Does anyone else see this, gentlemen?
Do we see?
Do we?
Yeah, what do we see? I'd love to know.
I mean, considering how things have gone so far, that's a very good question. No. It appears that Laura is talking to herself and pantomiming these actions. Like, her hand lifted up and she's... like... the way she's being pulled towards the room, you can tell it's not 100% she's just doing something. But you don't see a figure there.
Something unseen is pulling.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm resisting in a moderate way, but I'm not like dropping to the floor to prevent moving forward or something. Like, I'm just kind of like, oh, I have to wait for my friends.
Polite resistance in the face of someone pulling you
Yes.
towards somewhere. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then something very seen is going to try and grab you and to pull you back as Bertolt reaches out to grab like the back of your clothing and just pull you out of the doorway.
Thank you. This is
More spirits.
Spirit singular. Do you really not see him? He's with the mask. And what color are his eyes?
Oh.
Ooh.
That's a great question, but as Bertolt grabs you and yanks you back, pulling you free from this entity's grip, and this short conversation happens, in that moment, the figure fades like smoke, and the door shuts. And you are back in the hallway.
Well, I suppose we won't be searching that room.
I'm just wiping my hands.
Berthold opens the door again because who knows where the fuck the door goes to this time.
Or it's gonna take a step back.
Yep.
You are the person closest to death.
Yes. There's a reason for that.
I will remind you that that is not death with a capital D. That is just being broken. There is a difference.
Or other things can happen. It's very fun.
I understand where you're going with this, but sadly on my part, you see the same room as before.
That's okay. That's fine. It's just the same room sans ghost this time? Fine. Acceptable room.
No one sees the figure.
Okay.
If they were truly there.
Acceptable. I think Perlia opens the door, sees the same room, and goes, "Is the ghost in?"
No, I don't see him.
Oh, that's something. Walks through the door.
I think Horatio, seeing that it is not ghost infested, would follow and again start opening drawers and bookcases indiscriminately.
I think followed just close enough to kind of do a reciprocal yank back if anything happened. Berthold, but once inside, if nothing happened, just sort of hang back towards the door that they came in. taking in everything, and yeah, just worrying her stone and studiously not looking at windows or where the spirit was standing.
Don't look at windows. Don't go through doors. Don't talk to anybody. Just a list of things not
rules.
to do. Yeah, truly.
No parties. No music after 9 p.m.
Don't open a bookshelf. Don't open a desk.
Don't make fun of the baby key.
That's an important one.
Yeah.
All
Maybe
right.
he can hear you.
That's what I'm worried about.
The baby key, which has already disappeared, can still hear you.
It's still with us. in our
Somehow
hearts.
that's worse.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's disappeared. We don't know where it's gone, Cass.
We're gonna
It's
find
okay. It's not important. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He's gonna show up and stab somebody at some point.
Show up in fucking Desirim's pockets again.
Mm-hmm. Right next to your pipe.
Laura, as you're clutching your necklace and rubbing on it and pressing your hand against it, it is warmer than normal, and there is a small thrum.
Not a good time. Nope. Shh.
There is a small thrum, almost like a heartbeat.
Yeah. Not now. Not now. It's okay. Just settle down.
Horatio. We can come back to that in a second if you'd like, but Horatio, you are sacking a room again.
Yes, this is what he likes to do. He's on a mission.
Horatio, you find a rolled up vellum parchment.
Okay.
You know, one of those big, like, couple, like, maybe 2 feet long, thick, heavy rolls.
All right, this has potential. He would unroll it at least a little bit just to see what type of document it is.
It appears to be a map of the manor.
This should come in handy. We have a map.
Can we trust the map?
Almost certainly not, but at least it's a vague idea. It's more than what we have now, which is our own eyes that we seem to not even be able to trust.
Hey, if we look at the map, what's the room directly behind us, and is it the one we just came through?
There's just more hallways.
It just says creepy baby room. I don't know.
Yeah.
When you look at the map, Berthold, it's less of like a room by room blueprint layout and more like a general, this is how much this side of the house is, and here's a vague room placement, kind of like you can expect X many rooms kind of a situation, if that makes sense.
Okay. But in general, the layout looks vaguely similar to what we've walked through so far.
Vaguely similar to what you've walked through so far.
So far. Well,
So far.
that's something. Cool. Yeah, Burrow just like sort of looks at it, grunts, and is like, seems right so far.
See, better than wandering around aimlessly. What else would it show us on the first floor?
Give me a second to think about that as we go back to Desirim, who was going to say something about Laura's mutterings.
You don't have to go back to that. It's
No,
fine.
I think we should. I do.
But we are.
Desiree has specifically like had on a back burner in her mind, after watching Laura sleep, the pendant, looking for any reason why it might be important. So as she sees her grab it and mutter, she'll kind of like get right behind Laura and like right by your ear. Are you seeing any more spirits there?
Laura freezes. And I think just keeps holding on to it and doesn't move. And just says, it's nothing you need to concern yourself with.
Seems that
I
you've
don't see
concerned
the man
yourself
from
with.
before.
Oh, that is good. But not anyone new. No new friends in this room?
No new friends, enemies, or in between
Lovely.
that I can see. She might turn her head a bit to look you in the eye at that last bit.
That you can see. She'll back off, still kind of like keeping an eye. She wants to know what that necklace is about so badly.
I will say I'm not a seer. It is not something I expected to encounter.
Then where do your talents lie?
Oh, I was raised on the violin and needlepoint.
Your pertinent talents to this expedition.
Well, if we keep going, the needlepoint might come in handy. Some of these clothes are looking a bit worn. Is there anything of interest on that map, or are we just going to be moving forward and hoping?
So Horatio, you can see that if this map is at all true, that the middle door on the left-hand side is just a pass-through hallway with sets of rooms on either side of it, where the door you originally came in on and like the last door before the back door under the stairs. And beyond that is a larger room at the end of that hallway, if this map is at all true.
Horatio would point in the direction of the larger room and say, I think that's our next best bet.
All right, who's on door duty?
I think I can pull people most in, so probably not me.
I'm inclined to agree, actually.
Oh god, does that mean it's my turn? Fine. And Horatio will open the door to the large room.
Oh, no, so the large room is not connected to the room you're in.
It's on the other side of the pass-through.
The large room is connected to this other pass-through hallway. You have to go back to the main foyer to get to that hallway to then go through the room.
Oh.
Okay.
Ew.
So, but there's nothing else on this side of the hallway? No other rooms, really?
Not according to the map, and there is not another door to egress from in this room besides the one you've already used.
Okay, well, if we're done with this hallway, I think then we would go back through the foyer towards the larger room, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Right. You exit the gentleman's room, for lack of a better term, into the hallway, the nursery hallway, and shortly through there, you file back into the main foyer. And as you turn to move to the next door to travel down that hallway towards the large room marked on the map, you see standing at the top of the stairs directly under the ruined painting a dapper looking man, a different dapper looking man for Laura specifically.
But we all see him?
You all see this figure, a dapper looking man dressed in similar garb to what Laura saw, but much more high class, like long coat with tails, that kind of thing, a top hat jauntily placed on their head, and another masquerade mask, though different in design and style from the other man. And deep in that mask is dark gray eyes. And this figure smiles down at you and looks like they're about to say something to you. And that's where we'll take our break.
Fucking do it.
How
Perfect.
dare.
I feel like I left out some important description for this person, though. I luckily I couldn't talk to Eva about this because they're in the game, but I did get to talk with another friend of ours, Liz, and so they know some description of this character. And so in addition to all the other things I said before break, I need you to imagine that they are Chris Pine in his mid-40s with a full, well-kept beard with just a hint of gray in it and just a hint of gray in the hair. That's who this dapper person standing up there is.
Well, I've decided he's a good guy who's here to help us. And I would like to become better acquainted with him.
Oh, that's Chris Pine and all the old knives.
Is it? I haven't seen that one.
In case you were wondering, Chris Pine does in fact have a movie where he looks like that. If you search Chris Pine and all the old knives, he's even gray. He went full silver fox for that one. It's great.
Nice.
Here for it. I did desperately want to ask about it, but then I was like, well, that's just mean. I shouldn't. Okay.
Yes. And they are looking down at you, and their voice rings out nice and clear. Ah, we have guests. I do hope you're enjoying this little jaunt around my manor. I certainly won't intrude upon your fun. I haven't seen guests in so many years. And when he ends his sentence and smiles, you can see the sharp incisors on his top row of teeth.
If he's also a vampire, Tori is gone. Well and truly gone. But I think Horatio would go, well, if you wanted guests, maybe you should have kept the place up better.
Not the same gentleman I saw earlier, for the record.
Oh, good to keep track of those things.
Just seemed relevant.
Oh yes, I'm sure as you wander around, you'll meet many of the past revelers that we've had come through here. I honestly can't keep track of all of them myself. But hopefully they won't confound you too much.
Well, as guests, do we have free reign of the manor? Anywhere that's particularly touchy that you don't want us to explore?
Far be it from me to limit the curiosity of such a company. And also, if I were to tell you to stay away from an area, that certainly would just lead you there. I am not unwise to the ways of treasure hunters, but feel free to indulge all of your curiosities.
No, let's get straight
And
to it.
all
Then.
of
Where
your
would you send us
senses.
first?
Oh, no. I'm just here to say hello. And with that, he turns on the stairs, and I have to do it. Turns into a bat and flies away.
Yes.
Well, Tori's gone. Okay.
I have a specific type of autism, and it's vampire autism. Here we are.
Vampire whaler autism.
That's
It's
very
so
niche.
multifaceted.
God.
Particular type of extremely diverse.
We need more vampires on ships.
They have a problem with
water.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
but
they need
anyway,
ships.
Yeah.
But being on moving water is sometimes anyway.
You just put down a lot of dirt. A lot of your home dirt.
It's true. Horatio is completely unimpressed and goes, "Well, that was a waste of time."
Well, at least we know we're somewhat welcome.
I don't
I
think
know.
that was the point of that conversation at all.
Oh, he seemed
Just
nice.
means we're
though.
being watched. And
And it means he means to intimidate us, almost certainly.
I do not think he
Did
means
he?
to intimidate us. I think he has been quite clear that we are the entertainment for the evening.
I think we're beneath intimidating, honestly. All I know is Lady DeVere would be very upset at not knowing all the names of your guests, and that it's quite rude.
Who's Lady DeVere?
Someone I once knew.
Oh.
Someone
Sounds like-
fond of entertaining.
Well, shall we put on a show? Or fly
No.
under their...
Why would you want to pander to what these things want?
How could we fly under the view of someone who can turn into a bat? I would
That
love
is very...
to know the
question.
options here.
I don't think we're going to escape his notice, but I do think that we can just get about with our business and
I
deal
do not
with
want
whatever.
to do my business in front of that man. You're right. Let's move on. The sooner we're through here, the sooner we can be gone.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then I'm sure he'll throw some sort of horrors in our way, and we'll deal with them as they come.
Excellent.
More, anyway.
All you can ever do is deal with the horrors as they arise.
Shall we go find some?
Right, on to the next horror then.
Now can we go to the big room?
Yes, you can make your way to the big room. I do want to note quickly, though, for Deserim,
Mm.
that focus of malevolent power that you felt outside, that was him when he was in the room with you. There was it was very, very specific. That was the point that you felt, and when he left, you felt it recede with him.
I think that flavors her excitement in this moment. Little bit of apprehension. She knows how powerful non-human beings can be, but she's like, ooh, we've caught its notice. And she hasn't decided if that's a good or bad thing yet. She's excited about it. At least now
The
she knows
rest
what
of
it looks
us.
like.
Yes. I was like, very important to me as a GM. I'm like, this NPC is gonna pull a straw and show up in your face and be like, look at me, and give you a little chat before buggering off.
The best sort of villain.
Was he the
Tori,
baby
we
key
know.
all along?
He just turned into things that start with B. Bats,
Baby key,
bees,
that book? Maybe he was the childhood book?
book.
We have found the thread.
Was he
BBG?
Was he 3 windows in a trench coat?
That doesn't start with B.
Okay, fine. Is he Bree windows in a trench coat?
I'm putting that on Twitter.
I can't wait to get to the dining room and just find brunch. This will be good.
So, to go to Horatio's request after that, yes, Horatio, you can move to the middle door. It is a somewhat plain-looking door. And you push it open, it is unlocked. But how does this hallway beyond look? Describe it, if you would, please.
So this is a hallway, not a room.
I mean, everything is a room in regards to, it's got doors on either end and, it's a contained space.
Okay, so this, I believe, would be sort of a ballroom type of area. It's large and open. It has marble floors. There were at one time various wall hangings, maybe some tapestries, maybe some large paintings, but they've all rotted away. There are big picture windows off on one wall, and the doors on either end, because this is sort of a hallway room hybrid, would be the sorts of big doors that you could throw open for easy passage through during a party. I think the walls were at one time a pink, like a nice rose, dusty rose pink, but again, they've sort of moldered and mildewed away at this point. Everything's got a tinge of gray.
I like that. I will add, because the description you gave it, though it is kind of a pass-through room, it is a ballroom-like area. And so you see the rotting remains of a piano off to one side. And as the group of you step in, you start to hear a faint tune. A piano tune. Not coming from the piano specifically, but just in the room. And as you watch, both on the floor and in the air, pairs of figures start slowly twirling with each other and doing various moves.
Haunted mansion, haunted mansion, haunted mansion.
I feel like that's a ruin roll for everyone for seeing this.
Hell yeah.
Bear.
How do we do those again?
1d6.
A ruin roll is a single d6, and you need to get under your current ruin.
Okay.
That's low enough. Rolled a 3. I have a.
What if I meet my current ruin? What if I'm at 2 and I rolled a 2?
You're fine.
We've established that you're fine. It has to be higher to cause a problem.
I rolled under. I think it's because Laura's just like going with the spirits at this point. Like, it's fine. It's fine. They're all over the place. We get it. Do better, Batman.
It's going right
She
underneath
does
the
not
French
say
code. Is
that.
do better, Batman.
Does she think something like that in her head?
I think she thinks the first part of it, which is just like, okay, more spirits, check. I have enough of my own spiritual, I guess, spirits. That's not where the plural should be. I have enough problems with spirits at the moment. Dancing spirits is fine. She does not mentally say, do better, Batman.
Horatio, I think, will cross his arms and look at the dancers, not as maybe unimpressed and sarcastic as you'd expect him to look, more contemplatively, like he's thinking of something, like he's formulating thoughts in his little terrible brain.
He look horribly and weaselly wistful?
Of course he does.
Horatio. As you look wistful and contemplative at the spirits dancing slowly through the ballroom, a masculine figure spirit walks up to you and proffers their hand and does a little bow.
No, thank you. I'm spoken for.
The spirit fades back into the throng.
And he just continues to sort of wistfully and contemplatively watch. That's right, this terrible man has layers!
How dare he?
How dare he be like an onion? It has layers like an onion, except you can see right through it, because it's made of glass.
Oh,
Sorry.
No. Oh, yep. Oh no. Oh, we're gonna derail this entire night. Okay, I cannot start talking about glass onion.
No.
Please. It's so
So-
hard not to. Horatio, I think that's wise. I don't think any of us should go off with any of these spirits. If we can help it. Or whatever they are.
Revelers, I think they were called.
I don't know. I don't know how much harm they could cause any of us. Far be it from I to stifle anyone's fun.
I mean, you just did, didn't you?
Well, I didn't do that because it was a spirit. I don't dance with strangers.
That's fair. I respect that. Be that as it may, it's one thing to be led around the dance floor, perhaps, but who knows where they might take us. And I reiterate, I don't think we should split up at the moment.
No.
As you're all watching the spirits and having this conversation, you reach a small lull in your conversation about splitting up and the spirits and what they're doing. And a moment of silence in the music, though the twirling dancers keep spinning. And then you hear a blood-curdling scream, a feminine voice shrieking out, and you see the dancers have made a ring on the floor with a pair of them in the center, and as they part in a almost like a fractal pattern as they spin away, the pair in the center, the man, the masculine spirit, clutching what you would imagine is a knife of some kind as he repeatedly thrusts it into the feminine spirit over and over and over. And you see the crimson blood spilling down this ghostly white apparition and onto the floor before they all into smoke and dissipate.
Is the blood still there?
Would you like to go investigate closer?
Yeah.
There is a dark blood stain in the floor where these figures were standing. Not a pool of blood, mind you, but long dried and steeped into the wood.
I should do like a show in here.
This is more the energy I was expecting, frankly.
I'd rather not tarry. Are we tossing the place, or shall we look for another door?
Well, it's a hallway. There doesn't seem to be many drawers or cupboards to look through.
There's a
I don't-
piano.
Oh,
Ivory
yes.
might be worth something.
People could hide things in a piano, I'm sure.
The keys, little man.
Also, the piano dual generally holds things.
The piano
Bench.
what? Oh,
The bench. That was me completely forgetting what they're called. It's fine.
I thought you said tool, and I was like, a what? Fine, let's look at the piano.
Let's go look at a piano.
Piano to the piano. With her foot, if there is indeed a piano bench, Laura will try and lift the lid.
There is a piano bench, and you can lift it with your foot. There is nothing but rotted paper sheets with faded ink in a melodic score in the bench.
And I saw Haunting of Hill House. I'm not going near the piano itself any closer than the bench.
I will.
Same.
I was called a little man, so I'm going to sulk for a bit.
All right. Bartold and Deserim, you both approach the piano and begin to look around. The ivory keys are dusty and stained just with age and disuse. The piano itself is similarly, though once fine craftsmanship has rotted and broken, the strings are snapped or come way out of tune or all kinds of things. But Barthold, you find a small glimmering object buried deep in the remains of the piano.
Okay.
You withdraw it.
Yeah.
And you have another key. Deserim, what does this key look like?
I want to say it's a baby laughing face. This key. It is a dark iron, so much so that you can begin to hear the tips of her fingers sizzle as her fey skin touches it. It is long and slender, and the teeth of it are jagged, almost mimicking our host's. Where the keyhole would be, there is a beautifully carved, almost as if it was meant for a piece of fine silverware, a bas-relief sort of rose with twisting thorns along the spine of the key, almost making it difficult to touch, even if she weren't allergic to iron as she is. It is prickly, and she begins to see little spots of blood on Bertrand's hands as he holds it.
Bertle will, having grabbed the key, sets it on the piano, turns it around so he's grabbing it by sort of the long part so it's not stabbing him in the hand anymore. Rolls it between his fingers. I suppose we'll find a use for this one too.
At least it's not quite so unsettling.
No, just annoying to hold. He puts it in a pocket.
Is a key that draws blood less unsettling than a key with a baby on it?
I think so.
Interesting.
I think Bertolt will look at the piano and say, to Deserim, your thing with the teeth. These could be useful.
If they're actual ivory. She'll touch them kind of cautiously. Testing.
How do you test that a piano key is ivory?
Deserim is intimately familiar with the feel of ivory. That slight roughness to it, almost like when you rub pearls against your teeth. It's that feeling, but on her fingers.
These keys are the finest ivory, or were when they were new.
She'll touch a couple, testing them, kind of shudder back, grabbing her arms. And she'll try to rip some of them off, almost in anger.
I would like to help.
I was gonna say, I feel like this needs a risk roll to break the keys off. And...
What about a ritual?
Oh.
What about a ritual?
I have one. Allows me to rearrange and reshape inanimate material. I would like to start at one of the end of the piano and just lift them all out slowly, one at a time. Just go straight down the line, pushing up.
Okay. So I think you can do that if you like, but I think that if you do that, you can't help Deserim. And I think Deserim, because of the emotion tied to it, is still going to try and break some of the keys free.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Let's do that first, and then I'll come in and assist once the damage has been done.
I see your ritual starting. I will be stepping back so as not to be part of it or in the way of it. But if there's a pause as Deserim is attempting to rip them free first, I will physically attempt to.
Yeah, I think if you and Deserim don't have a lot of good success with this, Berthold will just step in and do what he's going to do. Working with inanimate things is his thing.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Excellent. Okay. Any devil's bargains?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, I have to say the piano wire, right?
That's a good one. Yeah.
I mean, or just the force and the lack of care as you're banging against the piano, the rot in the floor underneath finally gives way.
Ooh.
That's a good one. Do we just can we offer a bunch? How does this? I don't know.
You can offer, and then I can pick one.
Oh, okay, great, gotcha, cool.
And I can veto any that I think are
correct.
No.
Totally. Then I will. All that sounded very good. I will keep mine very simple. The piano plays you.
Ooh. I like that one. I want to know what that means.
I don't, but I do.
This is like when you don't take a nap, so the nap takes you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh boy, I love this. Okay. Okay. The highest was a 3 on a light die, so that's not great.
You added help, right?
I didn't add help. I thought we were saying I couldn't get help yet.
No, for help from me, but
I was offering to physically help.
Yeah.
Because
That's a 6 then.
Let's go.
Ooh.
Thank you.
I think Horatio's not paying attention and is taking out his little notebook and is writing notes. Not on what you were doing, just notes.
About what? Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Wouldn't you like to know?
Excuse you. Yeah,
just
okay.
limericks.
Okay. So you got a 6, you succeeded.
Yes.
How do you succeed?
I think in this moment, that feeling of ivory under her fingers is so incredibly visceral to her. She can't quite put a finger on it. She just knows that she has this reaction to it. She'll pull on one key, feel the rot give way, and tug and grab one, feeling that success, take a fistful where that gap had been made by the one key and just slide a finger under, rip more out, as she almost just falls into a rhythm, feral almost, grabbing as many as she can, not even looking to preserve them for any perceived value, just getting some frustrations out about how she's feeling, these unnamed emotions that she's contending with as she just tears into this piano.
You all watch Deserim, even for the level of success and the fact that they don't utterly destroy the piano, but she goes at it like someone possessed. Deserim, as you clutch your fistfuls of ivory, something about this is familiar to you. How do you recognize it?
A memory itches at the back of her mind. A hunt that she was sent on to retrieve some meager payment she could make back to Assyrio. She remembers more than the feeling of the ivory, the ferocity in this moment, the pure feralness of this feeling. It might have even been her first hunt where she wasn't totally in control. And those little flashes come through as she feels herself tearing into the piano keys, but then it is tearing into bone itself as she rips and claws and tears in a blind fury. And then she is back.
I hate the implication that she hunts teeth.
I love that. It's great.
Ah.
Gotta pay off debt somehow.
I will say, Deserim, that when you come back from that flash of memory, you're standing there with your hands not quite at your sides, but just clutched around these keys, and your breathing is rapid and ragged as if you have run a marathon.
She looks like a cornered animal almost. She'll hastily just start stuffing them into her pack.
I think that watching Deserim react like this requires a ruin roll from the rest of the party.
Hell
I'm
yeah, let's
sorry.
go. I'm
Writing in
not.
what if I was writing in my little book?
Hey, Horatio wasn't paying attention.
Horatio has no ruin. Horatio was not paying attention to this at all.
The ratio is as far as mentally possible away from.
From this scenario.
Nope, that fucked up Laura.
Oof.
Sorry.
I tied my ruin. I'm good.
Oh.
I'll allow that, Horatio, this time.
For one,
I'm good.
this time.
I'm sorry.
Laura is, I think, in the process of handing over like one or two keys and dropping them into whatever bag you have open, like not getting closer than necessary, and just freezes staring at you. I think we all have things that are greater than our own happiness. I hope you find yours.
I think that might be enough to snap her back, but she is...
Laura's already scuttled
tired.
away and
Yeah.
is gone. Like, just... out.
Is it worth it? Whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more valuable to me.
Fair enough.
Are you on? Yeah, this is terribly boring.
Yes.
Wonderful. Next room.
The big room.
How petty is Berthold right now? Hold on. Extremely. I think a rotten sheaf of sheet music just goes flying at Horatio's face from across the room.
Yeah, that was more rude than I'd expect from you, Berthold.
If you're not helping, you're not complaining. And then he goes to the next door.
I'll complain as I please. Follows along.
Choosing now to discover our manners.
Berthold half makes a turn to go and get more sheet music when Archie says that, but just decides that he can't be bothered and fucks off down the hall.
I'll try to outbrat this brat. All right, moving on.
All right. So, you move on to the next door. We know what this key looks like and what it's made of. So you find yourself in front of a door of wrought iron beams and sections filled in with glass. The design isn't anything particular, save for the iron rose in the center.
Is that supposed to mean something to me because I'm dumb?
Roses and thorns and spiky keys.
Okay.
I don't. Since I don't know much about your backstory.
Sorry, no, it's not that. My brain heard Rose, ROWS.
Oh.
And I was like, there's fucking lines of iron. What the fuck does that mean?
It's 11:30 p.m. here on the East Coast.
No, it's a rose like on the key.
Okay, cool. Yep, I'm here. Okay.
That's such a good way of sussing out information from the GM, though.
Homophones, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking key in the door then. Like.
All right. Berthold, you put the key in the door, it unlocks. And other than I will tell you, this led to the greenhouse, which is unconnected to the building. I would like you to describe it.
Okay, first off, hey, what the fuck? Second of all, because we're on like the second. Are we on the second or first?
First.
You're still on the first floor.
Okay.
Ground floor.
Ground floor. Yeah. There's I think a moment where anyone who had looked at the outline of this manor, at least from the inside, would go, hey, there's supposed to be some more like second floor hallway there. There isn't. The greenhouse is 3 stories tall. It is a huge glass cage of iron and, again, iron and glass full of. It's not like the plants are necessarily tall. In fact, mostly they seem to have spread out sort of horizontally and sort of crawled and creeped around every inch of floor in this greenhouse. So it wasn't necessarily that it was tall. It was just that the expectation is that they could grow however they needed. And in the absence and care of anyone to maintain it, that's exactly what they have done. Spread out on the ground, fought for territory with each other. Some of the plants are green and thriving. Some of them are dead, rotting, but still they're clinging like the manor to whatever is left. And I also think there are some birds. Whether or not they're alive or skeletons is up to you.
Both.
Or both.
I mean, when you give me a choice so good, how can I say no? You step into this scene and you hear the faint caw of crows or ravens, corvids of some kind, and perched in various locations, maybe one or two sibling, you see skeletal birds moving and chattering at each other until they all turn and notice your entrance, and they all turn in unison.
Sorry, everybody. Here we go again.
Love that for us.
Is that a ruin roll part 2?
Horatio is staring in horror. Tori is staring in pets.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that it is a ruin roll for Bertold, who went first,
Cool.
and Horatio for skipping the last one.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Laura is distracted by trying to not be next to Deserim, I think.
Well, I rolled a 6.
Oh,
Oh, good. I rolled a 4 again, and I'm just baseline a little out of it.
What happens? Because I rolled this 6.
you mark an additional ruin.
Yes.
Depending on how many ruin you have, things can happen. You don't have to say it out loud. You can just message me if you want, because it's part of the intrigue of the game. If you're under 5, not much happens, though.
I think Horatio just seems particularly horrified and struck by these moving skeletal birds, and internally he's flashed with visions of bleach white whale bones and tired, sickly men.
Bertolt is none of those things and is going to go approach the birds.
Okay. Bertold, you approach the birds, and some of them kind of hop away. Most of them don't really react, as they're all staring at the group. But as you get closer to one, you see that not all of them are full skeletons. Some of them still have tiny bits of flesh stuck to them, maybe a couple of scrawny feathers out of place. But perhaps the most unnerving is that they all have that cloudy eye, as like someone with massive cataracts.
Yes. Berthold sort of watches some of the birds, like some that hop away, some that flap away, but like the ones that are close by, he sort of takes a moment to looks around at them from every angle he can without, scaring them off, essentially. And says, "Is there? I wonder what's keeping them like this."
We don't need to find out.
Is it really so hard to bind things if you know how?
Yes.
It's
No.
no. Do you know something about this?
I know people are very skilled in different things. You have an incredible skill I could never fathom to reshape things with your will. To what extent, I don't know, but what's to say the house or the man-bat or whomstever isn't doing the same to these. Just using his will and imposing life upon things which should already be dead.
life. You're not binding them to life, you're binding them to animation. It's a completely different thing, completely different magic.
And how would you know?
Well, I
Laura
wouldn't,
doesn't
clearly.
say anything, just hesitates with her mouth open slightly and gives Horatio a considering look. Deserim, do you have any deep lore to add to this?
I don't like it. It goes against what my specialty is. Not right. It's not natural.
Teeth?
Death.
Bards don't have teeth.
I'm going to ask you about the plants, which I thought were a favorite of yours, but
Oh, they are.
I guess if death is your...
Plants are my favorite. Death is my specialty.
As usual, I regret asking. Are there any plants down here we should be wary of?
Ooh. I can ask.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, I would like to ask the plants.
All right. Is that a ritual?
That is a ritual.
Let's go.
Excellent.
Oh, let's see. Let's go. Boo! That is a 4 on the light die.
Right. Hmm. So a 4 is a success with a complication. So I'm just trying to think. I think your complication is you become hopelessly entangled in the thorny vines that also litter amongst the various plants.
That's fair. I think she's looking around at all the plants and finds spots, a particularly verdant one, which sticks out and triggers something bittersweet deep down in her emotions. And she is almost fixated on that one as she walks forward and becomes entangled. Before letting loose the magic as she kind of like tugs against it. But it's still asking nicely. What's y'all's deal?
So you do... Nothing in here is poisonous or harmful in... None of the plants are harmful in the fact that they are plants. Outside of your question, when you get your answer that no, the plants are whatever, they're plants, and you tug at your foot, all of you see this small tug, and then all of you see this from wherever you're standing, but Deserim, you're there, and you look down as you give this little tug, and the vines shift and move and tighten around you.
Oh, that's not very polite. Ow.
And to the rest of you, it almost looks like this entire massive bed writhes and grinds and shifts.
Help.
Okay, that sucks.
She'll continue to tug. If she is it like a Chinese finger trap where if she tugs it gets tighter?
It's like a Chinese finger trap and a boa constrictor.
Oh, that's fun.
Or if you pull, it gets tighter, but otherwise it's just getting tighter. Okay, cool. Cool.
You remember, I'm sure some of us do, most of us might, in the 80s when everything had quicksand and you were told not to move quicksand, and if you move quicksand, you sink faster. It's kind of that mentality. But also,
cool.
quicksand, you are still sinking.
That's fun.
Right. If you panic, it's worse, but if you don't panic, it's still bad.
Painfully relatable.
Great. Okay.
Is someone going to volunteer to help her?
I'm going to cast around, looking around for something that won't take me into the plants. Possibly a pot or something that I can just throw near Deseret, not at Deseret.
Wait, hold on. Choice of words.
Semantics.
Brief hesitation as she considers. Just to see if I can distract it. Laura doesn't know plants or whatever this is. No reason it might not do something.
I think, Laura, what you can find actually is the greenhouse is 3 stories tall, and much like the manor, it's been in disrepair. And as you're searching around, you look up to the ceiling and you see pieces where the glass is broken and pieces where the iron has been fractured. And then you look down and you see a large piece of iron.
I would love to throw iron in Deseret's direction.
Iron.
Oh no!
Because it's heavy and it'll press
It's
down
meaner
the
than what
plant.
I was going to do.
Which was?
What does Laura know?
Light something on fire.
Ooh.
I mean, you could do that still.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
both.
No, I mean, you could light stuff on fire.
No. We're gonna see what the iron does first, and then if it doesn't help, maybe I'll light the plants on fire.
Big it is, I will either chuck it, if it is, rockish sized, or if it seems like it would make a, if it's more pole-like, because again, Desert's just weird. No reason to think iron would be a problem.
It is definitely more of like a pole.
Yeah. Still gonna chuck it within reach, because it could be useful, but also to see if it flattens down the plants or gives it something else to think about. It's a plant. It's probably not thinking, but who knows? Look, this is not her strong suit. Here, use this.
Okay. I guess the pole falls down.
Yes, the
Yeah,
pole lands in front of you, close enough to reach for.
Okay, she'll look down at it. What's gonna hurt more, thorns or iron? And grab onto it. Begins to itch. And she'll try to pull herself free.
You can, using the bar to. I think what happens is you grab the bar in both hands, even though you know it's gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And doing your best to ignore the itch that slowly becomes a burning sensation, you manage to get it somehow wedged next to your leg amidst the writhing vines and kind of leverage yourself to get enough gap to pull your foot out, and you stumble backward out of range of the carpet of plants.
And she'll toss the bar, once she's free, just immediately toss it into the vines.
Horatio puts his matchbook back in his pocket.
And I think that Desiree, you look at your hands after a moment and they look like that bright sunburn.
Mm-hmm. She'll flex them, trying to stretch out the hurt a little bit. Just making sure that they're still usable hands. But just kind of like hissing to herself as she flexes. Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you.
Shouldn't have been hot. I'm sorry. Are you all right?
I am an inconvenience, but thank you.
I would
That
never
would have been
say
more
you're an
inconvenient.
inconvenience. I might have a cream for that.
Oh,
I just packed some random things, but the merchant said that this was good for just about everything, and it just smells like citronella. Like, it is just like
Oh.
mosquito repellent, but also like a cheap mosquito repellent.
what would you like for it?
Nothing. I kind of thought we were all working together, so
Okay.
if I get in a situation, I would hope that you might help me, but
Absolutely.
Oh, an item for a favor owed later is a very big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
A fey bargain? What? No.
What does Laura know?
Thank you. As she like takes the cream and like actually really likes the smell of it and will like lather it on.
I mean, there shouldn't be any surprises in it. Keep her withstanding. If anyone
No,
would know what
the
was
complication was the plants. There's,
Yeah.
there,
if anyone would
Rise
know what was
murder ointment.
actually- Pure arsenic.
What?
maybe in
Sounds-
episode 4 when I need to kill you all off.
Oh, yeah.
Smells like almonds all of a sudden.
I said green.
Dare I ask, are we moving through here or turning back?
Well, here isn't even supposed to be here, according to the map.
Is there any place to go through?
No, there is not. It is once again a end room.
Okay.
I will also, when the plant started moving, the birds did all fly through the broken glass and out of the greenhouse.
But we didn't hear them like clatter on the outside of the glass, right? Like they
No.
disappeared or they made it. So okay.
They either made it out without much noise or they disappeared when they hit whatever the threshold of,
All right. Well, we're not going out the top, so
They go the other way it is then, I suppose.
so it's either what, upstairs, or wasn't there a door under the stairs? Question mark.
Yes, one would presume maybe leads to the basement. I would look at the map. Does it tell me where the door under the stairs
Delightful.
goes?
So
All right, the death
Ooh.
room.
The death.
yes, looking at the map, the best you can surmise is that the two doors on opposite sides underneath the stairs lead to the same room on that section of the house.
Why do we keep consulting this thing again?
Because at least it's a general layout of the house.
We are in an outbuilding.
General
All
being
right.
the optimal term.
It was right
Sure.
once. Twice,
Wow.
technically.
Well, do we want to go down into the basement or up to the second floor?
Risk falling through the floor or risk having the manor fall on us?
That's one way
I
of looking at it.
Think if I had my druthers, I'd rather go upstairs if we're careful.
Sounds like a decision.
Sounds good enough to me.
Fantastic.
Then let's do it.
You exit the greenhouse and make your way back to the main foyer to ascend the staircase then?
Yeah.
You step through the greenhouse doors and you find yourself back in that ballroom. And as you all move to cross the floor to the door, Horatio, the ballroom floor is not wood. The ballroom floor is water, and each step takes you deeper. You're not sure if this is in your mind or the manor at work after the strange things you've seen, but something's tugging at your foot. And you come to, and you are standing still on the wood floor. Everyone is about to exit the opposite door. But I need to ask you, Horatio, what is weighing you down, and why can you not simply discard it?
Horatio is weighed down by the love of his life, and he would never, ever, ever discard that. You only get one of those.
But why is it weighing you down, Horatio?
Because he's waiting for me, of course. And that's a heavy weight to carry when someone's waiting for you.
It is a heavy weight to carry.
I think he thinks of it more as an anchor than a weight.
Seems appropriate. I want to say something, but it's not. It doesn't fit here, so as much as I... It's funny to me as a... But as you all...
Go gay, because I will, like...
I mean, that too, but I'll slip it in here as you exit to back to the hall, the main foyer. You all step through the doorway, Horatio just a couple steps behind, and Horatio, you're gonna carry that weight.
Also
Thank
gay.
you. Thank you. For a long time.
And you find yourself back in that main foyer. Underneath the stairs are a pair of doors on either side. Across from where you are another set of doors on the right-hand side. And of course, the staircase ascends on either side to an upper floor. Your host does not appear this time.
Good.
Unless anyone says anything or does anything to signal to stop, Laura will put a hand on the banister, take her hand off the banister, put it back on and kind of test it, and then start up the stairs carefully.
I think as you have started going up the stairs very carefully, Horatio's going to look at the stairs and give a hearty kick to the banister. That's how he tests if things are sturdy.
My banister or the one on the other side, out of curiosity?
The one you were touching, of course.
Nice, yeah, love that.
He's going to give it a hearty kick. That's how he makes sure things are sturdy enough to keep walking on.
Horatio, you give the banister a hearty kick. And though you are... No, I believe you did state last time that you never really found your land legs again. And
right.
you miss your mark. You don't strike the banister, but you do strike the edge of the first stair.
That's also checking for stability.
Right.
But your foot just crashes through in a loud crack of wood and splinter, and you feel a hand tugging at you from that foot. And you pull your foot back, and there's just the empty stair underneath. But I need you to make a ruin roll, please.
Yes, good. Ruin the boy. Ruin him. That's a 4. We take another point of ruin.
Oh, no.
Don't worry, we're at 4 now. It'll be much harder to ruin him, supposedly.
Famous last words.
Hey, Bertold's not ruined yet. How do we lose ruin? We don't, do we?
Once you have 5 ruin, you can start to reduce it. If you gain 6 ruin, you cease to be a being capable of being yourself.
Hell yeah. All right. I think Horatio would try very hard not to appear startled by what just happened, to go, should be careful on these stairs. They seem rotten.
Like 3 steps up, hand on the banister, Laura is looking over her shoulder down at you, just like, what the fuck?
He walks up the stairs, skipping the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Skipping the first stair it is.
Skips the first step.
All right, you ascend the stairs, Laura. You're currently in front. You come to the landing where the host met you previously, underneath the painting, and wedged in between the back of the painting and the front frame, find a small glimmer and withdraw another key. Keeping in the theme of everyone finding a key and someone else explaining what it looks like, Horatio, what key does Laura find?
Oh, I was muted. I think this key is bronze and surprisingly shiny. Everything else in this house is really aged and like it's been laying around for a while. This looks like it was just purchased yesterday. And it's a small key compared to some of the others. And the top of it is ornate and beautiful filigree.
Well, a new key for our disappearing collection, I suppose.
You've been useful so far.
This one's shiny. It might lead to something useful.
I won't argue. While I'm looking at the painting, is there at the bottom of the frame a lot of portraits and stuff have like that little plaque that says either the subject or the artist or anything? Is there a plaque or anything? Also, if it comes slightly off the wall, I'd check the lower bottom of the back if need be.
It does come slightly off the wall. There's nothing on the lower back behind the painting.
Is there a secret door?
I wish I had thought of that, but no, there's nothing there. But you do see a small plaque, and it says, Lord Hawthorne Moonpetal and Family.
To be clear, we can only see the upper half of one person's face,
You
right?
can see part of the face, yes, that's it.
Well, family man, I suppose.
I think that's a silly name.
I wasn't going to say it.
Did you put a Hawthorne into this fucking game that has a fucking Melville insert? Okay, cool.
I did, but not because I know anything about Melville. I don't.
So
That's okay.
Horatio's never leaving.
Yeah, that's okay. No, it's very good. Just don't worry about it. It's fine. That's just for me.
I hadn't even. Yeah. Yep.
I thought of it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyways, for those of you at home, Melville was wildly in gay with Hawthorne.
So gay, so in love,
Yep.
so in gay love.
It did not end well.
Did not. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway,
Sorry. Anyways.
So, you have a left-hand side staircase going up to then a right-hand side staircase from where you are.
keep going up left unless anyone says something. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna keep going.
Horatio's not opposed.
Left is good.
I'll follow.
Right.
I think one hand's on the banister and then the other hand is on her stone. And she's gonna just softly say, "You always said go left. If you come to a choice, so we're going left."
And you feel that boom, 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 boom in response.
Desrim will hang back, being last up the stairs. And where our gracious host was standing just momentarily, just put some feelers out. Are there any smells? Is there any artifact of his presence in that spot?
There is the faint smell of a excellent tobacco, tinged with the softest scent of lavender and brimstone.
She'll catch it on her nose and taste it and clock it, noting that if those smells should be encountered again, we've got some fun company to deal with.
You continue up the left side of the staircase. What kind of layout do we have here? I think based on the way I envision the foyer, this probably is a landing with a stretch of rooms and potentially a hallway leading deep in, not like the entire second floor next on either side of the stairwell. There might be actually, the room is large enough, I think that there is a crossway about the midsection from landing to landing, but that is it.
And yeah, just head down the hall. Probably stopping unless there's anything of note on the floor, the walls, or God help me, the ceiling.
Don't put that into Cass's head.
I've been so scarred in the past, I have to check every ceiling. But also, like, the very real fear of this manor house crumbling around them. Like, Laura is aware that, like, structurally speaking, things are not safe in any direction. Never mind worse things. I guess just stopping at the first door, if there's a door. I'd like to assume there's a door, but...
Yes, you stop at the first door, and your hand is outstretched to touch the handle, and you catch the scent of lavender from a room further down the walkway.
I'll smell that.
Oh.
Lavender strike anyone in particular?
I don't know the floral scent, but it smells like flowers.
Our host had a similar aspect about him. This seems more pure, though.
Question is, do we follow it? Or do we work our way down to it?
I don't know why we're trying to seek out strange scents and think we should perhaps look through the rooms in an organized manner.
I'm partial to that, because anything that smells that clean in this place seems noteworthy at best.
If we're headed that way anyway, why rush?
Fair point.
Besides, if whatever's in that room sends us running for the hills, we'll miss all of these rooms on our way back.
We wouldn't want that. Is there
Because
anything
all
carved
horrors
into...
have sense.
Real quick, who's gotten anything out of this house that they need? You've gotten some ivory. You haven't yet. Doing well so far.
True. Do you consider your ivory to be treasure, or is it unrelated?
Oh, I think it'll be something I can at the very least trade. I think it'll be something he likes.
All right.
Treasure.
So value
Sure.
of some sort.
Yes.
Well, at least one of us is getting something out of this trip.
What's a little trauma here or there? Are there any carvings on any of the doors that we can see in the hall? I can't remember how long it is, so if...
Yes, it's harder to see from where you are now, but as you were coming up the stairs, you had a little more opportunity to, like, see further down, at different angles. And, the door closest to you is relatively plain. There's a door further down, with another portrait-style carving up. It's a woman with long, luscious, curly hair and a very soft look. And yeah, I think that's all you can get from there.
I'm gonna open the door we're standing in front of.
All right, you open the door. It is not locked. What room do you see, Laura?
I think it is a well-appointed bedroom. Possibly done up in what was once probably a lavender color, even though this is not the lavender scented room. A 4-poster bed stands against one wall, the tatters of hangings still clinging to their appointed positions, but probably not for long. More dust here, I think, than where we've been in the house so far. No books, but a very large wardrobe and a very nice, seemingly under all the dust, large, crowded vanity, full of little bottles and vials and tinctures of all sorts, glass and little ceramics. I would say there's probably a lot of drawers and cupboard space in here. And the bed is probably a nice decent height off the floor as well.
Excellent. Horatio is going to look through all the drawers.
I mean, that tracks.
Yeah.
All right, so above game, we're at the point where we need to wrap up. So here's what's gonna happen.
We all turn into vampires.
Yay!
I mean, isn't that the goal?
Yes.
It is now.
I'm
I
weird,
would
so
like-
no.
Before we do our wrap up, I would like to end on Laura. As you take in the sights of this room, as you just relayed them to us, I know this is repeating something, but I feel it works in here. What sentimental item of yours do you find laying amongst the crowded vanity full of baubles and tinctures, though you thought it was long lost?
I think it's only repeating if it was a book of children's nursery rhymes. I find a small, about the size of my now adult hand, a homely little toy horse, made of leather or skin, and just very worn, velveteen rabbit levels of worn, and probably missing, if it had button eyes, it's just the little bit, little tuft of thread at this point. And as she's kind of glancing over the vanity, her hand will reach out. She'll reach her hand out. I will use language appropriately. Hesitate for just a moment, brush probably some of the bottles, and then just like it was any other thing, just pick it up and pocket it, and then continue to pick up and investigate other whatever else is on the table.
Right. You pocket the small horse, and as you do so, you hear your brother's voice, not saying anything, but just filled with humor. And as you shuffle things on the vanity, further glance up, and in the vanity mirror, you see the image of your brother reflected. And that is where we will end tonight's episode.
Very cool. Fuck.
Got all of it clamped.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Hawthorne Manor, a Trophy Dark game on Nerdsmith Presents. Tomorrow, you can tune in for Dragon Crown Season 1 Retrospective at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. I've been your GM, Cass. I don't have anything to plug because I don't care. It's not that I don't want to put that kind of work in. I'm not doing anything right now. Amazing game, so I will toss it back to my players once more.
Hi, hello, I'm Eva Serrate. You can find me on mostly Twitter at the Eva Serrates, but it's sporadic at best, so apologies. But I am who I am. You can find me here for the next 2 Thursdays playing Laura, assuming I survive next week. And other than that, mostly you can find me over on Sword and Key, where I either play a very happy-go-lucky sea elf, or probably running some games pretty soon, which I'm very excited about. And I think that about does it for me. Oh, I'm playing a second half of You're in Space and Everything is Fucked on Sunday, which is very good. I'm very excited about that.
Very good. Hello, I'm John Andoramasa. Yeah, like Cass, it's 12:19 and I don't wanna. So, if you like Pathfinder, check out Howl of the Wild on Paizo. I wrote on it. Okay, bye.
Okay, cool. Hi, my name's Tori. You can find me all over the internet as that nerd Tori. I don't really have any other projects lined up right now. Hopefully soon. Maybe I will find more games to apply to and then be on more games. That would be fun. But yeah, keep your eye on my Twitter. That's where I talk about stuff that I do.
And I'm Rosie, Sweet Rosie B, just about everywhere on the internet. You can find me over on my channel on Saturday for Extra Life Charity Weekend, TTRPG Weekend. We'll be running a 3rd level tea room adventure. All of my players have decided to pick the most animalistic. Oh, so we got tabaxis, owlins, turtles for this poor tea room lady to enlist help from. It's going to be great. And then on Sunday, you can find me over on Siwa Pyra's channel, where we'll be continuing our West March campaign, where I play an 8-foot-tall furbolg paladin of Pelor. She kind of talks like this. Wonderful lady. So lots of TTRPG stuff coming up, and cannot wait to be back here next week.
Thank you once again for joining us, everyone, and have a good night.